weightlifting. Here we go. A weightlifting championship goes to Vasek. Here are just some of the books that I'm going to balance on the floor. I've got 20 books. Oh shit. Hello friends, my wife tells me that I should buy two houses, one to store all of my books and another one to store all of my journals, because I have enormous quantity of both and I'm in a really critical situation here because I have nowhere to store all of those books and journals. So far this year I've bought around 20 different books and this video is going to be about them. Before we'll jump to the video, first of all I would like to ask you not to tell my wife how many books I've bought so far this year. Let's keep it a secret. And the second thing that I would like to say, I recorded this video 3 days ago, like it was the first take, and I tried to give you a brief summary of each book. This was a huge mistake because video turned out to be 30 minutes long. I'm not going to delve deep into each of those books because it will take way too much time, but if you are interested, if you would like me to cover any of those books in more detail, please leave a comment down below. I will happily review any of those books that you're curious about. So the first two books that I would like to share with you were written by Leo Tolstoy. The first one is called Life by him. It was published in 1888 by Walter Scott. It is not his biography, it is his philosophical outlook on life. Here Tolstoy describes in detail his philosophy on life, how to live a meaningful life. Found it in fact in a second-hand bookstore near my home. And the second book that I showed you is called The Gospel in Brief, The Life of Jesus. This is Tolstoy's philosophical retelling of the biblical story. This book is reportedly changed the life of the greatest philosopher of the 20th century, Ludwig Wittgenstein. The next book on this list is much shorter than Tolstoy's books. It is Ralph Waldo Emerson's long essay called Nature, where he explores the fact that through nature we can connect with God, with the divine. And I really like American philosophy because of its emphasis on self-reliance, on individuality, and I really wanted to read this book. The next book is absolutely changing my creative process ever since I discovered it and read it. It is a book written by Rick Rubin, who is one of the greatest music producers of our time. The book is called The Creative Act, A Way of Being. I've already talked about this book in this video, but I'm going to review this book and share with you some of my favorite ideas from here in my newsletter. So if you are interested, if you would like to delve deep into this book before purchasing it, please consider subscribing to my newsletter. It will be linked down below. This book is just too great to be simplified in and summarized in just 30 seconds, so everything will be in the next edition of my newsletter. The next book that I would like to share with you is also about creative process, but it goes kind of much deeper. It is more academic. It's written by Arthur Koestler, who was a philosopher and journalist among many things, and the book is called The Act of Creation. Here Arthur Koestler delves deep into our subconscious, into our psychology, and explains what are the essential components of the true creative process. I cannot tell you a lot about this book because I haven't read it, but I read Arthur Koestler's book on the Spanish Civil War called The Spanish Testament. I think it's right here. It is an older book. He has also an incredible book called The Ghost in the Machine, but more about them in the future videos. One of the things that all of my friends know about me is that I'm really passionate about languages. In fact, English is my fourth language. After Armenian, Russian, Czech, and English comes fourth. I speak a little bit of Italian, but I haven't practiced it for a long time. It's a bit rusty, but I'm really passionate about languages. I'm passionate about words. And when I saw Susie Dent's book called The Emotional Dictionary, I just thought that I found absolute treasure, a brilliant book which goes into different words that can describe your emotions better. This dictionary is not only about English words, it contains words from Japanese, from Chinese, from Italian, from Latin, from all sorts of languages, and I really loved reading this book. I'm going to make a separate video on it, but if you're passionate about words, about etymology, and about language in general, I would really recommend it. It is my bedside read. One of the things that I would like to practice this year is meditation, and for a very long time I didn't know where to start. And recently I discovered this wonderful book called Wherever You Go, There You Are, written by Jon Kabat-Zin. It was recommended by Andrew Huberman, who is a neuroscientist at Stanford University. He has a wonderful YouTube channel. He said that his journey started with this book, and I thought I'll give it a try. So I'll review it once I'll read it, and we'll let you know how good was this book recommendation. Please don't forget that if you leave a comment down below and tell me which books from this list you would like me to review, I will happily delve deeper into each of those. We still have a lot of books to cover, so that's why I'm going super quick. The next two books that I would like to share with you are Plato's Dialogues. Plato's dialogue called The Last Days of Socrates. The other one is Gorgias. Both of those books were recommended by the Professor Stephen Landler, whom I interviewed for my podcast about his book called Think Least of Death, about Spinoza and his philosophy. Right, the next three books are by Taschen, one of my favorite publishers. They publish amazing books on art. They recently had a sale and I bought many books for half price. One of them was Bruegel's complete paintings, an amazing publication. This book is not a book, it's a film. You open it and it is as if you start to watch a film about one of the greatest painters of all time. I'm definitely going to cover Bruegel and his subliminal works on this channel. Sorry, the books are on the floor. The other one is also about the painting, as I said. It's called What Great Paintings Say. Also amazing publication that explores paintings and their meanings. I also bought one of those standard editions where Taschen explores a single artist, his life, his works. In this case, it is Botticelli. Those were three books on paintings and art. I'm definitely going to cover all those three artists, all those three books in the future videos. The next two books are connected to science. One of them I already reviewed. It is Anaximander and the Nature of Science by Carlo Rovelli. The video is going to be right here. You can check it out. This book was recommended by one of the employees at Dent Books, amazing bookshop here in London. I started talking with one of the employees there and we had very similar taste in books. He said that I should read Richard Holmes' The Age of Wonder. The subtitle of this book is How the Romantic Generation Discovered the Beauty and Terror of Science. I was always interested in the dichotomy between science being helping us, enhancing our lives, but at the same time science can hinder us, can hinder our lives, hinder our progress. And of course another book on philosophy. This is Seneca's Letters, published by Penguin. Amazing cloth-bound edition with a really great translation. In fact, it is so difficult to find a good translation of Seneca's Letters, but the translation by Rubin Campbell in this one is really great. If you would like to read Seneca, I would really recommend you to read in this edition and not in this one. Like, not in this one, not the Oxford Classic. Sorry, Oxford. This list is so dominated by philosophy books, and I was surprised to discover it when I sat down and I wrote all the books that I've bought so far this year. I don't know, maybe it is a certain period of life that I'm going through. The next three books are also about philosophy. The first one is The Art of Resilience by Andrea Marcolongo, a really great book that can teach you how you can become more resilient when you face misfortunes. I really enjoyed reading this book. It's about one of my favorite poems of all time as well. It is the Virgil's Aeneid. But I think resilience is very underrated value in our time when everybody complains about the troubles they have. Speaking of misfortune, the next book is Boethius, whom I also reviewed in this video. You can find it here. Boethius teaches us how we can gain strength from misfortune. He tells us how fortune works and why sometimes misfortune can be more useful to you and give you more strength than the fortune. Once again, I reviewed this book in one of my videos. You can find it down below. Another book on philosophy is called The Consolations of Philosophy by Alain de Botton. I would like to give you a small disclaimer. This book is not for the people who are already familiar with philosophy. If you are new to philosophy, if you would like to discover its ideas and you would like a really good and well-written book about philosophy, this is a great place to start. Personally, to me, this book was slightly tedious and I couldn't finish it. But the reason why I found this book a little bit tedious was because I'm already familiar with most of those ideas. This book is perfect for the beginners, but not so good for the people who already have knowledge about philosophy. The book before the last is, in fact, the heaviest on this list. This book is William Gass's collection of essays called Reader. Those essays are perfect for people who dedicate their life to writing, who would like to learn how to write better. Because in those essays, William Gass covers some great art authors such as James Joyce, Marcel Proust, and many others, and he shows us what makes writing unique, and each essay tells you about different techniques of writing, how you can develop your own voice. In general, he's a very profound thinker, and he has a couple of essays about our contemporary consumerist culture, and I found them to be incredibly interesting. And the last book is by Nobel Prize winning author whose name is Mario Vargas Llosa. He has some great books, some great novels published. He's a Latin American writer. He was friends with Jorge Luis Borges. This book is in fact a non-fiction book. It's a collection of his essays on politics. Mario Vargas Llosa had communist and socialist ideas when he was growing up. Very soon he became disappointed in them. He saw how those ideas destroyed Latin America, and in these essays he tells us about the development of his political thought, how he became individualist from being communist. You know, it's very difficult to tell about this book because I haven't read it, but I know that he talks about the evolution of his political thought, of how he kind of, as he says, outgrown socialist and communist ideas. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope some of those books will end up on your reading list as well. I would like to apologize that I had to go through this list so quickly. First of all, I didn't want to make a video that was 30 minutes long. Another reason is that I'm recording this video at midnight. It is 1 AM right now. Like, I've been recording this video for like an hour or something. I wanted to give you kind of an overview of what I'm going to read in the future. I'm quite sure that this list is going to expand. I'm going to buy more books. But once again, if you would like me to review any of those books, just leave a comment down below or subscribe to my newsletter. I send all of my newsletters from my personal email address. Everything will be linked down in the description. My tongue is twisting. I cannot pronounce words. I don't know what time it is. I will see you in the next one.